Welcome back, boys. We got a very special one for you today. Let's call it the trifecta. 3 very fast motorcycles at Palmer Motorsports PArk. Got some onboard video and some commentary about how these bikes compare to one another and, I don't know, what it's like to go 150 miles an hour. Lead-off hitter, the 2023 Ducati V4 SP2. Fantastic machine. My good friend is a Ducati mechanic, and he convinced me to get the aftermarket full titanium system. Completely insane. It eliminates a lot of weight. The catalytic converter is, of course, in the recycling bin. I thought it might be a problem because Palmer has a pretty strict noise limit. But after 5 track days at Palmer, no black flags, I guess the engineers at Ducati did it exactly right. Speaking of exactly right, let's take a lap of Palmer on the SP2. I'll introduce you to the dashboard first. You see the lap time running? The lap counter bottom left. The big number there is gear position. Across the top is attack and speed just above lap time. If you look on the right-hand side, you'll see there's a number 3, and every once in a while, the orange box around that number lights up. That's the traction control coming on. So every time that little orange box lights up, the Ducati is controlling my slide, maybe saving me from a high side. Very hard to detect the system working, except under really extreme circumstances. In addition to traction control, the bike also has cornering ABS. That's not going to help you catch that guy. That's Radu, and he's riding his slow bike on this lap. It's a Honda. He's also got an MV Agusta. He's even faster on that thing than on the Honda. That's a 600. I'm on an 1100. He puts about 4 seconds on me in between here and the finish line. But anyway, let's not get distracted. Through the flip-flop here and then out onto the front straight, and let's just listen to this great sounding bike. You may have noticed going into turn 1 there, a couple of quick downshifts. The bike has an auto blipper. All you have to do is actuate the gear lever and the bike takes care of the rest. It is imperceptible, liquid smooth. So these 2 downshifts going into turn 4 here, don't even feel them. Little traction control, I think probably on the exit of 5. This is really steeply uphill. It's called high side hill, by the way. I'm guessing for people who don't have traction control. Check out the apex speeds here. This is a pretty steep downhill right, followed by an even steeper, tighter left. And it's only about 60 miles an hour. It's a lot of stress on the front end. Bike handles it perfectly well. And then this kink here, you see I'm going through here about 90. I probably should be going through there at about 105. Very steep downhill here again. And on the exit, probably get a little traction control and into another high-speed kink. As we get ready to exit onto the front straight here, a word about the speedometer. I think it's like 10, maybe 15% optimistic. So I'm going fast, but maybe not quite that fast.
Lasciatemi cantare con la chitarra in mano.
The 1299R is actually the final edition. It's the last V-twin superbike that Ducati made. It's got all the good stuff from the R model, like tie rods, tie valves, different crankshaft, different software, different subframe. It's completely insane, but also is not limited to the 1199 capacity for homologation. So it's got about 205 horsepower, I think. If you ride it without commitment, it just seems all out of sorts. Nothing makes sense. It's not comfortable. It's not smooth. If you ride it hard, like you mean it, this thing is an absolute symphony. Everything works just the way you want it to. It's an absolute missile. This is a race bike. This will definitely put hair on your chest. Alright, so I did my best to sync up 2 laps on the SP2 and the 1299R. I just did a 46 on the SP2. I'm about to do another one. The 1299R is on a 48-second lap. There's some traffic, but for purposes of comparison, you can look at apex speeds as we go through the track. That's turn 2, coming up on turn 3. The SP2, at least according to the speedometer, several miles an hour faster at the apex than the 1299R, which is a massive, massive difference. And you can see pretty early in the lap, I've already got maybe half a second on the 1299R versus the SP2. As far as the experience, the 1299R does feel like it's at the edge of the development envelope for the V2 concept. You can tell it is maxed out. The SP2, by contrast, very smooth and almost relaxed. I think I could do a lot more very fast laps on the SP2 than on the 1299R. As far as, how engaging they are, the 1299R does really capture your attention. But, after maybe 10 minutes or so, I'm just kind of exhausted. The SP2 doesn't tax me in quite the same way, even though I'm actually going significantly quicker as far as lap times. Coming up to the stripe here, probably a good time to point out that the SP2 has aerodynamic wings. Make a huge difference on this front straight as far as front end stability. The 1299R isn't bad, but the SP2 feels completely planted. Really encourages you to just hold it open. You probably could tell from watching the videos that we don't ride slow at these track days, and we sometimes cut it pretty close, but there's a lot of respect between riders, and you'll see this guy here actually going to wave me by. Thank you, sir. I suppose in this company, the HP4 might be considered old school, but I can remember when this thing came out, it was the first bike with dynamic damping control. That was a huge deal. Inline 4 makes about 185 horsepower. Beautiful bike. I would not consider it a dinosaur, but if it is a dinosaur, it wasn't the only one there this weekend.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Quick tip for anyone new to Trackdays: when you go out to get on track, don't forget to unplug your battery tender. The riding experience on the HP4 is really dominated by the engine. It has fantastic top-end rush, really good torque as well, but that kind of gets lost in the shuffle because the top end is so strong. The dynamic damping works quite well. I prefer static damping. To me, it's just more predictable, but it never really gets in the way as long as you're riding up to maybe about 95%. The electronics on the bike are good, but you can tell that it's, 10 years behind the SP2, just not quite as sophisticated. Once you uncork the engine though, oh wow, it's really exciting. No auto blipper on the bike, so those downshifts are all me. How exciting. Around the outside goes my friend Radu on his MV Agusta F800. I mean, how fast is that guy? It's already put like a second on me in 2 turns. Pretty impressive. Coming out onto Highside Hill here, I can tell you I really enjoy riding the HP4. Compared to the 2 Ducatis, I mean, you could say it's slightly boring, maybe a little bit. Following this guy was not boring. I wasn't sure when he was going to ride off the track. But what an enjoyable bike and a fantastic piece of equipment. Really like the HP4. This one's a keeper. I should say, guys, thanks to all my friends at Tony's Trackdays and my fellow riders. What a safe, great, fast weekend. Thanks to Radu and his MV Agusta F800 for keeping me humble, maybe slightly humiliated all weekend. And finally, thanks to the engineers who brought you this trifecta. 3 incredible motorcycles, each one fantastic to ride on the track, each one with its own personality. Really great to have all of them in the garage. Thanks for watching, guys. Glad you're enjoying the videos. Stay safe, and we'll see you for the next one.
Para demostrarte que sirven tus ideales. Somos humanos, aunque no pensemos iguales.